All right. So thanks for tuning in, guys. I have the pleasure of sitting down in Zoom with Mr. Mark Reeve, partner with Urban Capital, and Mr. John Anderton, vice president for and treasurer for Rogers Telecommunications Limited. First of all, thank you very much, guys, for taking time to be with me, sitting down and discussing about the one of the most exciting projects that is coming up, M4 at M City, and it's an absolute honor. Somebody who grew up in Mississauga, not too far from the location, actually, it's very exciting for myself to be in a position to be able to see what changes are coming up in Mississauga over the years. Going to high school in Mississauga, not too far from the site, and actually looking at the changes happening. It's very comforting to see big things are coming to Mississauga, and M City is doing absolute wonders when it comes to the amount of construction, the amount of the amount of towers, and the whole sense of community that you guys are bringing up. That's much needed, I would say, in that particular patch of land close to Square One, with all the amenities that are there, especially the LRT not too far from where the M City project is. So again, I know we've touched upon this before in the towers before M1, 2, and 3, but again, if I could get a little bit of sense of the whole entire vision of the project, what you guys, how it started, because another thing I would like to touch on is the amazing architecture that you're bringing in with every building. Every building is so stunning. I honestly didn't think you could outdo M3, but then again, I was wrong looking at M4 and looking at we just have to wait and see what you guys do with the rest of the buildings. But please do share some of the vision that you guys originally had with the whole project of M City.
I'll go ahead then. Well, thank you first of all for joining us today. We love talking about this project, and we're very happy to spend some time with you today and talk about the vision and what we're trying to accomplish with this building and this project. John and I have been working on this whole M City development for over 10 years now. We originally started working on it because the city had decided that they were going to try and create its own downtown around Square One, and this parcel of land was one of the largest last undeveloped pieces of land in Mississauga, strategically located right downtown. It had been owned by the Rogers family since the 1960s, and as this downtown 21 plan was evolving, John had recently joined Rogers a few years before, and would asked me to help out to try and figure out how best to develop the property. And at that time, we got involved in trying to create a master plan for this site. It's 15 acres. We brought in a firm out of New York called Cooper Robertson, one of the top urban design firms in North America. And we started looking at how to put together a community from basically from scratch, trying to figure out how best to locate the roads, the parks, the massing of all the buildings, what the whole pedestrian experience is going to be like with M City, and how the basic functionality of certain things works, like where the ramps are for the parking and the loading, where should the retail space be placed most strategically to maximize the benefit to the community. So a ton of effort went into putting together the master plan. And now you're starting to see the genesis of what the other big idea was for M City was the architecture. Right. So we determined that every building in this project was going to be an iconic piece of architecture in its own right. And we went about creating these great architectural sculptures through design competition. So each of the buildings you've seen so far has been basically created through a competitive process where we got ideas from a number of different designers and selected the best ones that we thought would be most appropriate for each of the different phases. So M1 and M2, we ended up twinning because it was such an amazing success out of the box, and in many ways made sense because it was twins to the absolute towers on the other side of downtown.
That's right. Yeah.
And M3 is, more magnificent in its own ways with 81 stories. It's by far the tallest building on the west side of the GTA.
Yeah.
And now we've come along with M4, which is also a magnificent building in its own right. You can see particularly, we paid a lot of attention to what's going on at the base of the building, the podium, in terms of all the building blocks and the great pattern that's formed down there. It's going to be an unbelievable, beautiful building when it's done. So that's kind of the vision so far.
And just looking at the building right now, the image is just like makes you so happy. And it's not a boring tower all the way up, even circular or like rectangle. It's a very tastefully done. It's a pleasure to look at. And at the end of the day, regardless if it's investors or end users, they just want to be associated with yeah, you know what? That's the building I live in. Oh, the one with the unique features. So that's something investors and end users alike like to be associated with. And you guys have done a tremendous job designing. And like I said, I honestly didn't think you could top off M3, but you've outdone yourself again. It's absolutely amazing and mind-boggling looking at it. And
you have to do that another 4 times. So.
I know, right? And the party doesn't stop. So, and you know what? Again, the whole master plan that's coming up, and it's not just towers. It's not just residential. The good thing about MCity is you've taken care of the entire. You've covered all the points basically. You have a beautiful park that's going to be made. You have retail that's going to be going all around the towers. It's like a city within the city. And again, like when it comes to convenience regardless of if it's an investor or an end user, it's just going down, grabbing whatever you want, coming up. One of the beautiful features that I came across was the Zen garden that you guys are designing for M4. Whose idea was that?
Well, that was a collaboration. I think it mostly came from our architects, and then our interior designer jumped on the bandwagon, if I get it correctly. But it was definitely a collaborative process to come up with a design like that, for sure.
And that's one very unique feature that you would have in a condo building. Nobody would, think about it. And then it's just it's like you're doing so much. Like you have a whole community with multiple towers, but then again you have that calming Zen garden within that hustle and bustle, I guess. It's absolutely crazy. And then you had an ice rink in M3.
M1. Yeah, M1.
Sorry, M1. Yeah, and then it's it's so exciting to see so many things happening in that that land, and you don't really need to get out.
Well, this is it. The whole point was to try and make each building unique, have its own special character, make it iconic architecturally through the interior design, do the best job we possibly can in terms of how the interiors of the building function and how they appear. And I think the results speak for themselves when you see the renderings for it. So it's absolutely gorgeous.
I mean, we've had tremendous success in the first 3 towers. We're looking forward to the 4th tower launching. We had an absolute blast selling the first 3. I had to ask my wife for a vacation when I was selling the first 3 towers multiple times, and that's not going to stop either, obviously. But it's just another thing I wanted to point out was like when 2 guns like big guys like you collaborate, like Urban Capital and Rogers. Not only do you have a quality build, but secondly, you also have like obviously technology that's being put in, the amount of technology that's being put in the M4 building. And if you want to touch a little bit about on that as well, the One Valet technology part of it that's going into M4, because when we were given the presentation, it was like when I was looking at it, it was very eye-opening, because I personally haven't seen anything like that in the residential towers. If you want to touch upon that and then tell us some of the quirks and features, if you will.
Yeah, we've invested heavily in the technology in this building. The backbone of the technology is a distributed antenna system, so that basically it strengthens the signal for your cell phones throughout the whole building. We also have 100% Wi-Fi coverage.
Mhm.
But the one valet is really the front-facing that that the tenants are going to see, or the owners are going to see, and that's basically a smartphone app that enables you to control access for yourself and for your visitors to the building, track couriers through the building. It basically automates the parcel delivery for a courier. You can open your suite door, you can change your thermostat, any number of things. So it's a real jewel. It's part of what we're branding as the Rogers Smart Community, basically.
And how many times has it been like we've gone to the elevator, like we're in an important call, and you're like, okay, I got to call you back, 5-10 minutes. But here, my understanding is you can actually use your phone while you're in the elevator with that technology.
That's correct. Yeah, you can use it on the elevator. You can use it in the parking garage. So if you're driving into the parking garage, you don't lose the call. It's totally seamless.
That is, again, like, I mean, that is value added to a fantastic community that's coming up. And I mean, it's
important too. It's 5G ready, so everything will be, by the time this building's completed, everything will be 5G, if not 6G.
And it's also future for technology down the road.
Now, speaking of by the time it's completed, my understanding is it's 2027 is when you guys are aiming to. Sorry.
At the beginning of 2027, that's correct. Yeah, we'll hopefully be under construction by this time next year, and it is a big building, 950 units. So the anticipated completion is the beginning of 2027.
And one of the most common themes that I've personally seen throughout the M1, 2, and 3 is the floor plans are so good. There's no wasted space. And then, obviously, I'm sure you're going to be carrying that around. Do we see any of those similar floor plans carrying forward to the M4? Or are we going to see, different floor plans? Or
I think this is going to be the best set of floor plans you've seen at M-City so far. The tower is made up of really basically 4 towerettes that come together and create, a fantastic floor plate for space planning for units. So we've got extra corner units in this building, and the floor plate and the unit designs, the floor plans, I think are the best we've done so far.
Team Somerville, my father and I, we've had such a great relationship with you guys. We've had a tremendous success selling the first 3 towers, and very much looking forward to sell the 4th tower as well. Thank you guys for giving us the opportunity. And then, the whole fact that I grew up in Mississauga and I'm selling Mississauga pretty much means a lot to me. And then maybe down the road, my grandkids could be like, hey, that's something my grandfather sold. But it's an absolute honor to, work with you guys. It's the communications have always been very fluent. Thank you guys for helping us being successful in a great project like this. And, now going back to the investors or the purchasing side of things, I wanted to just touch upon, like, if you will, the deposit structure. Are you planning on making it more attractive with all that's going on right now with the COVID stuff that's happening? Are you planning on extending it even more or making it more user friendly?
We made a decision this time up M1, M2, M3. We all required 20% deposit pre-occupancy. In this building, we're only requiring 15%. So it's significantly easier for people to buy.
Most definitely. And that makes it a lot more attractive for even first-time investors, first-time buyers who want to get in. And, obviously, I remember that area just being there 15, 20 years back. Absolutely, there was nothing at all. And then the whole construction that's happening with the first 2 towers, it's going to be it's going to change the whole neighborhood entirely. And we're only in the 4 towers in at this point.
It's going to change the whole Mississauga skyline. You wait till this time next year, see 2 buildings topped off. It's going to be amazing.
I was at, believe it or not, I was at Wellesley and Yonge 2 days back, and the day was very clear. I could actually see the Mississauga skyline, and knowing that I'm going to be talking to you guys today, I was just trying to imagine, especially with the M3 being 81 stories high, it's going to be the king of Mississauga, if you will, the crown jewel. Like you can see
Yeah.
from any angle. It's going to be
It's
absolutely stunning. So,
It's 20 stories higher than the other two buildings. It's going to stand out.
oh, for sure,
It'll
for
be very
sure.
exciting.
One of my clients actually bought if I'm not wrong, in the 79th or 80th floor. I can't wait to do the PDI for him.
That's great. Oh, the view will be spectacular.
Oh, for sure. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for taking time talking to me,
Yeah.
and looking forward to the M4 launch. And you know, here's to another successful launch. I can already vouch for that.
Thank you very much. Good luck.
Thanks. Take care.